I just want to start with a story, kind of explaining what's going on here, why I'm doing this. I was at a get-together recently, and there was a guy who was really loud and really opinionated. He dominated the room. And it really, really scared me because I realized how easy it would be for me to grow up and act just like him. And I have so many opinions, and I really believe I've been through a lot, and I've tried to learn from every experience I've been through. So deep inside me, I just have this eagerness to share my thoughts and my opinions and my stories. I love doing it. It's one of my favorite things in the entire world. But I do not want to grow up and be like that guy. And so, in my personal life, I've been really careful recently to ask a lot of questions, to instead of talking about myself, really making an effort to hear other people's lives and other people's stories. Listen more, and talk less about myself. And what's really funny is in doing this, I've actually found that listening has caused me to feel like I have even more I want to say. I really try to make an effort from any time I have a conversation with someone. What can I learn from that? What can I learn from them and their stories? And in collecting other people's stories and hearing about their experiences, I feel like I learn even more I want to talk about. And so, here's a great example. Recently, a buddy of mine was talking about a decision he made. He works at a minimum wage job, makes very little money, but he's saving up for a gaming console. Wants to play video games. And if you ask me, I think that's an unwise decision. But what I did was I said, hey, are you available for me to share my opinion on that? He said no, and I let it go. I walked away. It's like, I don't need to force my opinions down anybody's throat. I have a lot of perspectives. I enjoy sharing them. But the genius of a podcast and the genius of doing it this way is if you want to hear it, great. And if you don't, awesome. Don't watch. I realize that not everybody necessarily wants to hear my opinions and my stories and my perspective. And I like this path. I still have a lot rattling around in my head, though. I write every single day. I have so many things I want to talk about. So my plan is to consistently do this podcast. I want to do about 3 or 4 a month, something like that. Maybe every week, 3 a month is probably about right because I have school and all kinds of other stuff. But I want to share what I have to say. It's sort of a journal, sort of commentary on what's going on in the world. But I'm calling it Zach Shomler is a Flawed Human, and I love that name because I'm broken. I'm stupid. I make mistakes. There's a lot of reasons for the name, and the first one is that it's an admission. It's honest. It's real. I make so many mistakes. And I say so many dumb things, and I it's almost like a preemptive, statement. Like at some point, I'm guaranteed to say something on the show I regret, or I think is dumb, or I look back on and go, "Oh, that was a mistake." And so, I take care and I try to be very careful with what I say, and make sure I'm saying things that are reasonable or smart. I'm just guaranteed at some point I'm going to say something dumb that I regret. And hey, now you can expect it because I'm a flawed human. I say dumb things. I hope the tone of this podcast reflects the humility that is in my heart. I know I don't have everything figured out, and I never will have everything figured out. But I know that in February 2016, and I don't like talking. I feel like I bring this up a lot because it's like my suicide card. Like my brother killed himself, and it sucked. So my brother killed himself in 2016, and it was awful. But since then, so much has happened. And what I changed, the way I started doing things in my life was I started paying attention. How can I learn? How can I learn, and what can I learn from the things going on in my life, whether they're happening to me, my experiences, or other people's experiences. And so, heartbreak, doing really cool stuff, all those things, I worked for ESPN's College Game Day. All those experiences have, I think, given me perspective, and I've learned lessons, and I've learned lessons from my friends and their heartache and their struggles, and I want to share them. But I don't want to just make this like a really serious, heavy tone podcast. I want to share why I love John Bellion. John Bellion's my favorite musical artist in the world. I'm like a fanatic, disgusting human. It's like I'm part of a cult. I love him so much. It's hilarious. I want to share some of my favorite movies. I want to have fun, but I also do really want to share some heavier stuff, some life lessons. I've been doing a sports podcast called Strong Opinion Sports for a long time, and it's my favorite thing in the world. It's my passion. I love it. But I really want to share a little bit more and maybe something that could help someone or something that, isn't sports that I just love. Like I love Tom Brady, but I also love John Bellion, and I want to share those things. And I really hope people listen to this. But if they don't, it's okay. I'm not doing this show. I'm not creating content anymore for validation. I think I used to. I don't really care anymore. I'd rather talk about that later in this episode, but I've learned that I got to make content because it's what I want, what's in my heart. And instead of doing it for other people's love and for affection and for validation, I do it because I enjoy it. And I really enjoy doing things like this and sharing my thoughts and perspectives. I want to tell a story. I think this is I have two stories I want to share in the show. I want to share later at the end of the show. One of the most interesting, eclectic, bizarre people I've ever met in my life and what I learned from that experience. And I just want to gush about this man. It'll be at the end of the show. He's 95 and it was awesome. But first I want to share a story I think that could potentially help someone. A girl reached out to me a while back. She was having a really hard time. Her relationship with her boyfriend had just ended. And she said she'd seen my Instagram story and she wanted to know how to have a positive attitude through all of that. And she asked if I could help her. So we talked and I listened to her story and I listened to what happened. And, she's a 19-year-old girl and gone through her, her first boyfriend. They just broken up. It's her first relationship ever. She'd never been through a breakup before. And this poor girl was heartbroken. And I am going to share what I told her and what I've learned from my failed relationships. And I really hope if you're listening to this and you're someone who's going through a breakup or been through a breakup or trying to get over a breakup, or maybe you just know at some point your heart's going to get broken and I don't know, or whatever stage of heartbreak you're at, before, after, during, I think this can help you. And I think, because this helped me. What I'm about to share has been a hard lesson for me and a hard thing to understand. But once I've learned it, it's really helped me. And not just in the field of relationships and everything. I personally think failed relationships are really, really good. When a relationship ends, when bad things happen and you break up, I hate to say this, I think it's necessary. I think it's really, really valuable if you allow it to be. This might be really controversial, but when I hear that someone is marrying their very first boyfriend or girlfriend, I cringe. I go, ooh, that's, I don't know. I'm 21. I'm almost 22 in March. I know so many people who have been married and already have been divorced. And it feels like people my age are in a rush to get married. Everyone's in a hurry to find the right person, get in a relationship, get married, bang, 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 bam. And I don't know. It's funny. That girl was crying and having a hard time. We got on the phone a long time. She needed help. I talked to her. I listened to her. And I'm happy to listen to you. If you're ever struggling, I like helping people. It's fun to me. If I can ever help anyone, I do enjoy, reach out to me on Instagram. I might DM you back. I like helping people if I can. Sometimes I can't. You got to get help. Go get counseling. It's really good for you. But I told this girl that I hope she has many more failed relationships. I hope she has multiple. I hope she doesn't just marry. Maybe she marries the next guy she dates. I don't know. But I hope she goes through heartbreak again because it shapes you if you let it. We do this thing where we tend to think that struggling is bad. Like breakups are bad. They're good. They're nasty. No. I believe we need to stop looking at breakups as a loss and shift our perspective and thinking a breakup's actually a lesson. View a breakup as a lesson. I've had many, many failed relationship attempts. Breakups, things where you go on a couple dates and you realize it's not a good fit and you walk away. I'm grateful for all of my experiences. I really am. They all taught me something, especially in the last 3 years since my brother died. And it's so annoying to me when two people break up and they go, it just didn't work. You're lazy. There's so much more to that. There's a reason why you broke up. There's reasons. There's something you did. There's something she did. Whatever relationship you're in, two guys, two girls, whatever. There's always fault on both sides. And they're not just maybe fault, but reasons. Maybe they just move away and you realize long distance isn't good enough. But I think often people can't tell you why they broke up with someone because it's uncomfortable to admit fault, to say, yeah, I was kind of a dick and I was really selfish and I was jealous or whatever it is. It's hard to admit that you have faults and you have flaws. And again, I just repeat, every relationship or every fling I've ever been in has helped me. It's shaped me into the person I am today. And I really like who I am today. And after each breakup, I've noticed that the dating pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller. For example, I was hanging out with a girl recently, and not super recent, but in the last year and a half. And she said, she didn't like affection. And I was like, that's a deal breaker for me. I want someone who, rubs my arm and touches my leg. Not super sexual, just like I like being touched occasionally, like in a non-sexual way. It means a lot to me. And it's really funny to me that when I was younger, the dating pool was like, if she's cute and she breathes, any cute girl that breathes is on the dating list. Like I could date the potential girl to date. And as I've had more and more experiences, the dating pool has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, does she like hiking? And then it shrinks because some people hate hiking. And then it's like, well, does she like affection? And it shrinks again because apparently people don't like touching each other. I don't know. It's weird to me. And then it's like, is she in perspective? Does she think about her life? Does she care about growing and learning as a person? That's probably the most important thing, actually. But again, my point is, every relationship I've been through has shrunk the dating pool. And now, like maybe once a year, I meet someone who I'm like, yeah, I would date that person. But it's like once a year. And I don't have angst about it. I don't have stress about it because I want to get it right. I'm not in a hurry. And I believe you can force a relationship with a lot of people. You can date people that are not a good fit for you. You're not compatible with, but you force it, you make it work. I've seen a lot of people do it. But I really do believe there's a better fit for you out there. There are better fits than others. Some people you're really compatible with, some people you're kind of compatible with, and other people you're just probably not compatible with. Doesn't mean you can't have a relationship with them, but it means it might not be the best possible relationship you could have. I look at it like, and you can't obsess, right, about getting it perfect, but here's a great analogy is that you ever had Tupperware plastic containers? You have like a circle Tupperware, you put your leftover broccoli in, and you have another Tupperware container, you put like your mac and cheese in, whatever you're putting away in the fridge. And when you load them and put them away in the shelf, when they're not being used, you stack them together. And have you ever taken a circular Tupperware dish and tried to put it inside of a square Tupperware dish? It doesn't work very well because they're not really a good fit. And then you find, okay, well, this one's a square and this one's also a square. They're both made for sandwiches. They're not identical, but they're both kind of rectangular. And they fit together a lot better than the circle and the square does. But it's not perfect. It's better, but it's not as good. And then you find two that are they're the same brand. They're made from the same thing. And they're both like perfect squares with the same indents. And you're like, boop. It's perfect. That's a great fit. And there's multiple out there. It's not like there's only one person. I really don't believe in like the one person. I don't think there's like a destined plan, like one person for you. But I definitely believe there's a better fit out there than there are. It's like some people are better fit than others. My point is this. It's not just about best fit. Dating's kind of like practice. You wouldn't show up for a math test without studying at all. Maybe you do, but you probably didn't do well on that math test. I've been in college. Trust me, I know that. But it's trial and error. It's like football practice, or it's practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it. I look at breakups again, like they're valuable, and not just breakups, but dating when you're young is valuable practice if you allow it to be. And I truly believe my marriage will be better someday because of the past lessons I've learned in my other failed relationships. I think it's so important. So again, if you're struggling with a relationship, please, take heart. Take heart. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. You can learn from your relationships. What happened? Were you selfish? Were you just not compatible? Was it this? Was it that? What can you do better? Every time I end things with someone, I try to write out what happened and I really try to journal about it. And what could I have done better? And I think that's so important. Practice, trial and error, learning that. If you learn from your past relationships, you can really improve your future relationships. And it's like people don't seem to realize that's something you can do. They're like, oh, we just broke up, didn't work. My friend's 25, and she's only had 2 short relationships in her entire life. Only 2 relationships. She's 25. But she's looking for a husband. And I told her, if the next guy's your husband, great. That's awesome for you. But don't panic if you have a couple relationships and they fail, they don't work. Because you're inexperienced, you're young. And the more you date and the more you interact with people and the more times you go on dates, you learn how to do it, like what you're doing. And it's just, I don't know. Again, I'm like a broken record. I know this, but I really hope people begin to look at breakups as a loss. Excuse me. I really hope people learn to look at breakups as a lesson. It's not a loss. It's not like, oh, it's not the worst thing ever. It sucks. It hurts. I'm not saying don't cry. I'm not saying don't grieve. But I took heart when the last person that ended things with me, I was like, you know what? It's probably for the best because I learned from it and I know what I want. And, again, breakups, they're not a loss. They're a lesson. You may or may not know. You may or may not know I have a sports podcast. It's called Strong Opinion Sports. And it's grown a lot. Like the numbers go up tremendously. It's cool. Like a lot of people watch. More than I thought would happen, about a little over a year in doing it. And with size and with viewership, especially on YouTube, comes a ton of comments. Angry, happy, hateful. Sometimes they're really nice. And getting comments on YouTube has really forced me to do a lot of self-examination. And you got to be really, really careful. You cannot give a YouTube comment too much weight, whether it's really good or really bad, negative or positive. You can't let it sway the way you feel too much, either direction. Because like the nice ones are awesome. They're so meaningful. People tell me I've gotten this comment and it's cool like to hear this. People say like, Zach, you're my favorite YouTuber. I love Strong Opinion Sports. And that like is so cool. It feels so good. Like praise feels good. But you got to be really careful. You can't do it to seek validation. A lot of people that listen to my sports podcast are 49ers fans. And I curate topics that they might want to hear. I'll say like, I'll talk about Jimmy Garoppolo today, but I won't say what they want about Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll say what I believe about Jimmy Garoppolo. I try to give them information they care about, but my opinion isn't informed to make them like me. For a great example, I think their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, had a really disappointing season, and it makes 49ers fans angry when I say that. But you can't seek validation. It doesn't work. You got to be really, really careful not to seek validation or approval. And if you make content on YouTube, if you do it because you want people to like you, you are doing it for the wrong reason. It will not work. If people comment on Strong Opinion Sports, I have people say really mean stuff to me, man. I get a lot of hate. They'll say like, Zach, you're fat. You're gaining weight. Blech. Say your hair is stupid. I hate you. You're an idiot. I hope your other brother kills himself. I've literally had that comment. And it's like, doesn't feel good. I've had people say they want to kill me before, and I don't give a lot of weight. So I'm like, it's just Georgia fans. Like they're just angry. They're an angry bunch of people. I never really take it seriously. But don't get me wrong. Getting hate on the internet does not feel good. It is not exciting when someone says your hair is stupid or you're getting fat or you shave your face, whatever the hell it is. Like it doesn't feel good to get hated on the internet. And part of me is inclined to say, like, I often get tempted to be like, if you don't like me, just don't watch. But like, first of all, you can't live in that bubble. But second, I mean, if you hate me and you watch my content, technically the viewership still helps me. Like actually, it's bad business if you turn away someone who watches your content just because they hate you. Like if people hate watch me, I benefit from it. So like, oh well. But I've really had to come to terms with the fact that I just have to be myself. And being myself means that some people might hate me. I make content because I love preparing a podcast. I love organizing the information. It's my favorite thing. It's so fun to me. I love organizing my ideas and my thoughts and then writing them out. And if I can monetize that, that's my dream job. That's what I would love to do. But I've got to be careful. I got to make sure I'm creating content because it's what I enjoy doing. And love the process rather than because I want validation. If you're making content because you want validation, again, because you want people to like you, that's not healthy and it's not sustainable. Now, it was easy though when people, when I'd put out a video and it got like 2 views, it was really easy to be like, yeah, of course I'm making it because I like it because no one watches. But now that people watch, it's a lot harder. And look, I know, I'm not fat. I know that, but it still makes me overthink every camera angle. I like, does my hair look okay? Is my shirt okay? I overthink my outfits. It's like, it's ridiculous. But those thoughts creep into my mind. And so I got to be really careful and really vigilant to be sure that I'm doing this for the right reason. I'm making content for the right reason. And figuring all of that out has been a tough thing, man. I will say this. It's a little bit easier to have people hate me for an opinion on sports. Like, I love Tom Brady. If you hate me for that, I can swallow that. It's a little bit easier. You're mad because of a sports thing. It's inconsequential. Like, oh, well. But it has slowed me down from making content under, the moniker of Zach Shomler, under me. Content that's not about sports. Again, it's one thing to have someone hate you for strong opinion sports, for my take on a Georgia football game. I have 2 feeds, Strong Opinion Sports and Zach Shomler. When I make a Zach Shomler video, a video for my personal YouTube channel, and then people don't like that, it's because they just hate me. It's more personal. It's not about Baker Mayfield. It's not about, I love Baker, so therefore I don't like that you said you didn't believe in him. It's more like, Zach, I hate you. And that's hard. And I've had to accept that sometimes people are simply going to hate me. And again, I don't make content for those people. I make content for people who want to hear me talk. And I don't really feel the need anymore for anyone's approval. It's like, thank God. I don't make content for people who hate me. And kind of understanding I don't need approval has been a really big one. But it's taken a lot of soul searching. However, I now feel a lot better. Like, I'm in the process of learning how to not seek validation, but it's hard. And it's even being able to say that out loud has really made me feel a lot more free. Like, oh, yeah, someone's going to hate me. Okay, that's the deal. It happens. And as long as I'm making content that I believe in, I think I can keep going. If I'm proud of the content I'm putting out, that is sustainable. Like, I get comments all the time about my background or, my camera angles and crap and my lighting, and my hair is like darker in the middle than the top. And it's like, dude, I don't care. Someday, don't get me wrong. I have aspirations of making really great content that looks like, I think I make great content, but content that looks visually really appealing. Someday I want to do that. But right now, I'm a college kid. I live in a dorm room. Like, I don't know. And I don't use clips to make, like, for example, I don't use a lot of clips when I talk about football. If people want me to play clips of a guy, Jimmy Garoppolo throwing when I talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's a great idea in theory, but I'm not a sports network. I can't purchase clips. And even if you do, sometimes if you buy clips, it still gets flagged. So I only really shoot and only really put video on my YouTube channel that's I shot with my own camera, because otherwise I get copy struck. And I don't want to deal with that. I hate that. I hate people making money off my content it's not theirs. And so again, I try to use only video that I shot with my own camera. And I really think with my content, what's truly most important is what I'm saying out loud. It's what's coming out of my mouth. It's not about how it looks. It's a podcast. It's me talking. I honestly, when I listen to shows like mine, I listen to Joe Rogan clips sometimes. I'll put my phone in my pocket and have my headphones in. I don't even care what he's saying, because it's not about what it looks like. It's about what I'm saying. And so, like, audio quality, that matters so much more to me. To deliver this concisely and clearly with a good microphone is so much more important than how the show looks. And so, again, someday, I hope the looks are great. But right now, I'm making content I'm proud of, and I'm no longer seeking approval. And doing that has been really, really freeing. I have 2 things left I want to talk about. The first thing I want to do, I don't know if you can hear that in the background of my house. So what that means is my roommate just got home, flushed the toilet. It's like in the wall with the pipe is right here. I don't know if you can hear that in the background or not. I can hear it. And so I'm going to wait like a couple seconds. It should go away in about a minute. And so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to talk about how to cover a song. I have a pet peeve of mine on YouTube with the way people cover songs I want to talk about. And then at the end of the show, the last topic of the day, I want to talk about a guy who I met, an experience I had with maybe the most eclectic and interesting person I've met in a long, long time. So first, I want to give a big shout out to a guy named Ethan Day. Ethan Day is a musician. He's a great content creator. He's actually, right now, he's my personal favorite content creator on YouTube. I love him. He only has 300. He has like 373 subscribers as of like a couple minutes ago. Dude, he deserves so much more. I don't understand how it's so low. I think honestly he's just kind of undiscovered right now. He's incredibly talented, makes great music videos. But here's what Ethan does that really speaks to me and why I love him and why I love what he does. He's a musician. He's a cover artist. But what he does is he puts his own spin on songs. My pet peeve on YouTube, I absolutely hate when people try to cover a song and make or attempt to make an exact copy of the original song. It never works. It drives me nuts. Like if I wanted to hear the original song, I would just listen to the original song. A great example is people often try to cover Maroon 5 songs. And they pitch their voice and they try to sing in the exact same style as a lead singer from Maroon 5, Adam Levine, and it never, ever works. Because newsflash, hey guy on YouTube, you're not Adam Levine. You don't have his range. You can't sing his way. And if I wanted to hear Adam Levine, I would listen to the original Maroon 5 song. So please, people, stop trying to copy people. I don't like copycats. I like people that put their own original spin on a song. And that is what Ethan Day does. Again, I love Ethan Day, what he does. He puts his own original spin on music, and it's fantastic. So Ethan, thank you so much, man. I really love your content. I love what he does. I'm going to link Ethan below. John Bellion is my favorite artist of all time. I'm like a cult follower. I freaking love the guy. I'm crazy and a fanatic. I really believe, interestingly enough, John Bellion has a song called Stupid Deep. I think Ethan's version of Stupid Deep might actually be better than the original version. I think I might like it more. It's fantastic. It hits home. It's emotional. So Ethan, man, thank you so much for your music. Ethan Day, he's on Instagram at Ethan Day Music. Find him on YouTube. Just look up Ethan Day or look up Stupid Deep cover by John Bellion. It's incredible. Ethan, thank you, man. Your version of 1994 is incredible. And he's reached out to me on Instagram too. Like Ethan Day has reached out to me. We've had conversations on Instagram. Just a great guy, like a really stand-up, awesome person. I think he lives in Nashville now. And I hope you go follow him. Ethan Day Music on Instagram at Ethan Day Music, or subscribe to his YouTube channel. Like he deserves it. And Ethan, I love your creativity. I love your willingness to take risks. He doesn't do what everyone else does. He does his own take on a song, and he's done things I don't like sometimes. He did a song called Blue, and he played he tuned it differently, and I didn't like it, but I respected it. And it grew on me actually the more I listened to it. And so I really like people who take risks. Ethan, you do that. And he also has great audio. Like the number one, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, the number one thing is have good audio quality. If the mic's crackly and like shot with a camera microphone, it doesn't work. It's not good. And so Ethan Day, I love your content. I love that you have great audio quality. I love that you take risks. I love your original creative takes on covers of songs. I really hope if you're listening to this, go follow Ethan Day. He is fantastic. So, how many minutes are we at? We're at 29 minutes in on the reader, which means probably we're like 27 because I start always after a couple minutes in. Last topic of the day I want to talk about. I'm so excited to share this actually. I recently had one of the most bizarre, interesting, entertaining, and enjoyable experiences of my entire life. It was just a really cool moment. Me and one of my best friends, Max, we went wine tasting in Astoria, Oregon. And I met this old man who is, I mean literally, this old man is literally the most interesting man in the world. He's the coolest guy I've ever met. And the man's name is Paul Vandervelt. He is the owner of Shallon Winery in Astoria, Oregon. And Paul and his assistant are the only employees of the winery. Paul's a really sweet guy. He's blunt. He's honest. And I spent about 4.5 hours with him. And I want to now describe to you why it was such a cool experience. It started when we got there. We get to the door, and the door is locked. I go to walk into the winery. I'm like, I'll go in, and we'll check out the shop. Oh, I hit the door's locked. You can't get in. And there's a number on the door, like a sign that says, call this number to get in. So we call the number, and he answers. Paul does. He says, well, I'll let you in. And so Paul lets us in, and he's, again, mind you, he's 95 years old. He is incredibly... Now, for a 95-year-old man, I hope I look as good as Paul does, and I'm 95. But the guy's been open 365 days a year for 38 years. Every single day, 38 mother flipping years in a row. That's longer than most marriages. I mean, the guy, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, every single day from 1 to 6, he is there. It might be 1 to 5, but he's there. This man is at the desk selling wine in his winery. And if you go there, I'm gonna read something. If you go to Shomler Winery, which I do recommend you do, be very careful. Make sure you are not in a hurry. There's a sign on the cash register. It says this. I'm going to read it. I have a picture on my phone. Shomler Winery, open 1 to 6, crossed out. It says 5 now. So 1 to 5 p.m. every day. Sometimes a little late for the 1 p.m. opening. Now, in all bold caps, this is a winery. Wines are made and sold here only. If you have not been here before, presentation and tasting take approximately 30 minutes. And here's the best part. He says, if you are in a hurry, I'll read it again. If you are in a hurry, please come back when you are relaxed. And then he goes, there's no charge, but you may leave a gratuity as your conscience may dictate. So he'll take you through this presentation and the tasting process for free. You pay him if you want, you tip him. And then if you want to buy wine, you can. But he does not. It's so bizarre because he does not seem to care about selling you wine. He's not a salesman. He just loves what he does. He loves making the wine. And so he proudly presents it to you. And if you want to buy it, I recommend you do. After tasting it, you can. But what's so cool about this guy is he seems like interested in you. When you get there, you sign in and you say where you're from. And he has people from like all over the world. He says he's had over 70,000 customers in his lifetime. And it's so bizarre in the very best way. Like, he doesn't really seem to care about being a salesman. He loves his wine. He's very passionate about his wine. But he lets the wine speak for itself. He goes through this whole rigmarole. He explains it, explaining his process and then showing you, the wine, and you get to taste the wine. But again, I want to be very clear, not a sales pitch. Not at all. The guy's just passionate about what he does. And he makes incredible wine. He makes this wine that is just, it's like, he makes it there himself. There's crates everywhere. You go in like the room where he makes it. There's just crates of this wine littered all over the place, packaged in the way he does it. And the wine's like $30, literally. I think his most expensive wine is $48, something like that. But the average is like $30 a bottle. And that's, for what it is, it's incredible. And it makes you realize how overpriced everything in the alcohol industry is. You're like, man, I bought crap beer for $20. It's like, what? I don't know. His wine's unique, though. Paul's wine is one of a kind. Here's why. He makes wine out of whey. And whey is an ingredient in milk. And so I tell people he makes wine out of milk. It's not really true, and Paul would probably protest if he heard that. But he's the only person in North America who could figure out how to make wine out of whey. And people literally actively try to steal it. I mean, because he's got this advanced chemistry and engineering to make this all work, people are actively trying to steal his recipe. And other people cannot figure out how to do it. Big companies with big teams can't figure it out. And I don't know, man. Behind this wine, this incredible wine made of this cool ingredient that nobody else can do. Behind the wine, there's this man, Paul. And eclectic, interesting. I mean, he takes notes during your conversation. Like, he just doesn't care about the wine. He's fascinated in learning about people. He wants to get to know you. He wants to hear your story. And I make no exaggeration when I say Paul Vanderbilt might be one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in fact, he is one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my entire life. Here's a cool fact about the guy. The guy loves Big Bang Theory, TV show. But he watches Big Bang Theory differently than anybody I've ever met before. He relates to Sheldon, that weird, nerdy outcast. And when I watch Big Bang Theory, and when everyone else I know watches Big Bang Theory, we marvel at Sheldon. We laugh at him because he's so different and so weird that would never, he's a caricature that would never be real. And Paul watches Sheldon and finds Sheldon relatable. How interesting and just bizarre is that? The guy Paul lives at the winery, so he's got a cave, upstairs. And that also really hit home for me. Like, he's so dedicated to his craft. I sleep on the floor so that I can turn my room into a production studio. I love this man. Like, Spend 4.5 hours with him. Awesome, awesome time. Maybe the last thing I'll share. So first of all, go to Shallon Winery. It's Shallon, Shallon, Shallon Winery. Go there. It's in Astoria, Oregon. But do not go for the wine. Go because you want to meet Paul. Go get to know Paul. Go talk and meet him because he's 95. He's gonna die at some point. Clock's ticking, man. Go meet Paul while he's still up and running because it's just a really, really cool operation he's got going. I want to share the best moment I had with Paul. So when he gives you wine, he takes out the wine, he presents you the bottle, and it comes with this little piece of paper, like instructions, how to enjoy the wine, how to drink the wine, how to consume it. And we're tasting his orange chocolate wine. And he's got this whole list of things, how to enjoy it. So the number one thing's like over, vanilla ice cream, then over yogurt, and you can enjoy it over waffles, down the list. And then the number 20 thing, the last thing on the list says, you can enjoy it over a friend. And you're like, oh, Paul, you dirty dog. I love it. I laughed so hard. Paul's a national treasure. And look, open 365 days a year. Go to Astoria, Oregon. Go meet Paul Vandervelt and enjoy Shallon Winery. It really is. Let's go meet him. You just got to meet him before you die. It's an interesting experience. And if Paul's alive, 365 days a year, if Paul's up and running, he'll be there at 1 to 5 to share you his wine. It's incredible. I really recommend you go. And I had a great time. It really impacted me. I just, one of the most interesting, entertaining, and bizarre in the best way possible experiences of my entire life. Guys, that is strong. What is this show? Show is called Zach Shomler is a Flawed Human. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Zach Shomler. I am a flawed human. I'm very broken. I'm stupid. Go follow Ethan Day. He's fantastic. I'm going to play his music on the way out. I'm going to play his song 1994 to play us out. I hope you have a great day. And man, thank you so much for listening. I got more stuff to talk about in the future, and I hope you listen again. Thank you so much. My name is Zach Shomler. Have a great day and enjoy Ethan Day, 1994.
I was born in 1994. I guess the Santa's just not real, and Batman can't fly, and nobody's invincible, yeah, because I know that people die. I saw it on the news one day when the towers fell down. September's not the same place now, same place now.